Hello and welcome to episode 55 of FPL Apprentice, still the only podcasting series which delves into the mind of one of the greatest players to ever play the game. That is former world number one, Mr. Matthew Corbage. Matt, how are we? Missed you last week.
I know. Rumour says it whenever I have a terrible week, I find an excuse not to come on.
Yeah,
I think,
doing
I think
Clifton now?
maybe I make excuses to be busy at work when, when I've had a bad week. But yeah, it's good to be back, mate. Did a good job holding the fort last week. Short and sweet. It was snappy, right? So
Yeah, straight
that's what people
in,
want.
straight out sort of job.
Which I think it's going
But
to
this
be
week,
hour 20 minutes job.
doubt it. Doubt it. With well, we thought as we worked together last week, let's do another live one, right? And get some questions. And Thomas Jones, welcome, mate. I can see you with us, firing in some questions. Do you want to do things a bit differently, Matt? Should we dive into those questions straight off the bat as Thomas
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Hey Thomas, how you doing, mate?
is with us?
What have we got here? Johnson
Yeah,
replacement.
yeah.
Johnson post game week 11.
I'll throw you that one up.
Semenyo, Mitoma, or Garnacho. I think they're all good, right? So I've been looking at Semenyo because he's in my squad actually because I've been doing that rotating fifth midfielder. Rogers and Semenyo has mainly been Rogers playing for me kind of recently. And you were messaging me as well, weren't you, about Semenyo out? I think he's a long-term hold. I think he's the standout as a cheap midfielder now for the next 10 plus game weeks. I think he's still been looking threatening. Very involved for Bournemouth, nailed on in terms of minutes, and like Bournemouth are really good side. Kind of this year, they've been putting up good stats, and their fixture run now for the long term is really good. So, I think he's like the golden and obvious choice. Garnacho, I think Garnacho could be intriguing, but I think it's a little bit early to say will he start, right? Because I think Sporting, I think we'll see. I think unless you know that player's nailed, it's always a bit risky, right? So I think with Garnacho, you don't know he's going to play because I think they've played. I think Sporting played with the back three wing backs, a front three, right? So you'd presume Højlund is one, then it could be. You'd assume Bruno will play in that front three, right? He won't be playing in a centre midfield position, and then it's kind of like, is it Rashford? Is it Garnacho or someone else? So I think it's probably a little bit too soon to Garnacho for Garnacho.
Matt's internet keeps going. It's halfway through, but I'll continue.
I can still hear you, mate. I can still hear you. Yeah, you're
There you are.
disappearing.
There you are. You dropped off a little. You're back now. You're back now.
Right. But yeah, Garnacho I think is a little bit too soon, and like the United fixtures are only good for like 3 or 4 weeks, right? So I think it's a bit too soon for him. Mitoma, Brighton got a good run coming up because I was considering João Pedro. So I think it's a toss-up really between Semenyo and Mitoma. Really, obviously you can do a lot of Semenyo's a lot less than Mitoma, right? So with that extra funds, you can do a little bit. But I like both of them as long-term options. I think a good hop-off option for Johnson, given Spurs' fixtures, right? That's the City game in that game week 11, I think. So, I'd be backing both of those as a sensible move.
Yeah, 0.9 saving, and Semenyo actually has better expected goal involvement per 90 data as well than Mitoma. But you're right, both fixture runs. Well, Semenyo is now, and then Mitoma's after this game week. They're both pretty solid.
No, exactly. I'd leave Semenyo just because of the stats, and then just you can do a lot with an extra million in the bank, essentially, right? That's a big difference. That's like a Gabriel to Trent, right? So I think I'd lean Semenyo. I think both great options.
We're not answering Thomas's second question. No offense, Thomas, but it's purely because we've got a whole section on whether you should sell Haaland or not. So I don't want to give the game away too much. Keeping you on the hook with that one. And then William's joined us as well. Thanks for joining us, William. Question for you. You're in the same position as William, I think, because he's asking about 3 transfers. Just wondering your thoughts on how many you should use. Up to you whether you want to answer that now or wait until you reveal your team later.
No, I mean, like, obviously the cliche, right, is team dependent. I'm considering I'm either between using 2 transfers this week or maybe 3. It's always nice to have a bit of a security blanket when you're not being forced to use the kind of moves. So yeah, probably either 2 transfers or kind of roll it again. I was always targeting the next game week as a like a little mini wild card. One, because it's after the international break when you can get injuries and all that kind of like jazz, but also there's a big fixture swing. However, like the moves I'm considering this game week, that has a like there's similar benefits moving forward, so I can go a week early and not regret it. So I think it's team dependent, and are you catching those long term fixture swings really? So I wouldn't force using all of them though. It is nice. It is nice to have that security blanket of like at least 2 going into next week, right?
Yeah, and I'm only on 1 free transfer this week, and I feel like I'll come on to it because I've had some news based on Tottenham's game today that makes me think I need to use it. But on that point, so let's move into what happened in game week 10. Feel free to go first, mate.
Nice, mate.
Green
Yes,
arrows
I
all
haven't
round.
seen my team for a while, so I'm just trying to familiar myself. So I've got 49 points, game week rank 1.9 million. Fair green arrow up from 3.1 million to 2.6 million. So I'm still losing ground a little bit, treading water a little bit, because I had an awful game week 9 where I massively plummeted from 1.5 million down to like 3 million. I think that the ranks are quite bunched up at the moment, right? So I think I was 2 minutes away from having like a really good rank overall, like probably a
I
sub 2
jinxed
million
it,
rank.
and I'm sorry for it.
With the kind of Flecken kind of conceding 2 goals, but yeah, it's kind of like it's fine. So Green Arrow is kind of like nice. So Flecken obviously got his 4 points rather than what was he on for? He would have
11,
3 bonus
12.
points.
He was on 12 at
12,
at a point.
4 points to the 12. 4 points for the clean sheet, 5 points to the clean sheet, and then three bonus on top of the 4. But hey, I've got him in teams for kind of like for saves, so that's all good. Defense didn't do anything, and Lewis didn't start, which is always a bit of a bit of a risk. But I had Trent and Gabriel there as well. Midfield, mixed news. I had Semenyo benched for 10 points, but I was never realistically going to play him in that game. Foden blanked again. This would be annoying since like bringing Foden in on 4 game weeks ago for me. I think he started every game. We missed one and got an assist, but he's blanked despite having great stats. So I think his expected goal involvement has been over 1 in, in pretty much every game he's played. And like last game week was another example of that. So yeah, like last season you would have got back-to-back hat tricks with those sort of stats. Like this year, not so much. But he blanked, as did Mbeumo, which is like always surprising. And Brentford were quite poor, right? So I was kind of watching that match, and Mbeumo wasn't really involved at all. But I think he's got enough quality to be fine. And then Rodgers scored. Of course, he's doing really well for a cheap midfielder. Son obviously got the assist, but it was like a early substitution, probably because he's just returning back from injury. So like you got to be happy with that. Blanks from Haaland and Calvert-Lewin again. Haaland puts up some good numbers. Shame he was a captaincy blank. And then, I think people without Haaland the last 3 or 4 have been getting away with murder, really. I think it's one thing, him blanking and not doing anything, but he's been peppering shots, getting good chances as well. Calvert-Lewin did next to nothing. So, pretty annoying for me. And then, luckily, Solanke came back, which is kind of really cool. So I was a bit worried about Solanke because when I first brought him into the team in game week 5 or game week 6, he was looking really good. Like he was looking really good. And then the last 2 game weeks, game week 8 and 9, he was almost playing as a deep line playmaker. He was the person that was going really deep and spreading the ball, but not getting in the box. But it was a return to being a bit of a goal hanger, kind of scoring those goals. So kind of really, of course, kind of delighted with a 16-point haul. So kind of like pretty happy with that kind of result. I'm losing a lot of ground to you, but plenty of the season left to bring that back in.
Plenty to play. Yeah, he's got tonight as well. Solanke off the bench, goal. Tottenham run 10 men as well. Still managed to do that. So seems to he's swinging his form back into just in time for Ipswich at home. So happy days for you. Thomas is who's in the chat is one of those that has been without Haaland for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I have been jealous of his scores every single week. So fair play to you, Thomas. But he has noted he recognises he's been pretty fortunate that Haaland hasn't put the points in. Yeah, I'll run through my team slightly. So just over 1 million game week rank. So a nice green arrow from 1.5 million to just inside 1.1 million, 54 points overall. Won't go through the whole thing, but the big pros. My transfer, I thought I'm going early. DCL was just stinking up my team. I hated having him. And I was like, look, he's got Southampton away, granted, but he's had nice fixtures and he's done nothing with them. Cunha, I want as a long term, so it was either do it last week or do it this week. And I thought I'm just going to go a week early. Cunha's got a nice game as well. Seemed to pay off. Got himself an assist and a bonus point, so I'm 4 points up on that transfer, and just much happier having Cunha in the squad. His fixtures going forward: Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester. That's a crazy run of fixtures. Exactly. So hopefully he'll bring me some more points there.
I mean, a great player, and I think it was bold going a week early, but obviously it's proved dividends. But I think we'll talk about Cunha and cheap strikers going forward. I think he's probably the number one option. We've got 2 great options that we'll both talk about. When we come Strand, Larsen being another one, but Cunha I think is probably the kind of peak one. So fair play. It came off. He looked really good as well in the match. So
he did. I was happy with him, and it's long-term hold. And then Aina, how can I not talk about Aina? I mean, the goal was very fortunate. He's not going to be doing that week in, week out. But I've banged on about the Forest defence since game week 1, and I should call out Mark from FPL Black Box, because when we were at Fantasy Football Fest, I asked him which Nottingham Forest defender I should get, and he told me I should get Aina. So thank you, Mark, if you're listening. Appreciate the advice. But great goal from him. Kept the faith since game week 1. No interest in selling them. They're third in the league now. They're ahead of Arsenal, aren't they? Third in the league, Forest. So they've not been lucky. That their defensive stats have been unreal. So great to get the clean sheets. The goal was a bonus, and then three on top.
You always running a lucky little bit when a defender scores, but obviously you're betting that he's the most attacking defender for a good defense. So kind of fair play with it. And I think these little things that can just kind of your rank can just skyrocket, right, with a couple of defender goals here and there, right? So I think people with Vardiol the last couple of weeks have been laughing, right, because he's just been scoring the one shot that he takes. I'd like to think that I was going to say Aina was the best option at the beginning of the season as well, but good. I'd be the same. I'd take Mark's advice over mine. I think you started with. Did you start with Nico Williams?
Nico Williams, I had Nico Williams, and then you were like, "Are you sure? Are you sure he's not going to get Aina's not going to take his place?" I was like, "Is he?" And we happened to see Mark about 2 minutes later.
I think you were talking about Murillo as well, weren't you? As well,
Murillo. Happy with it. There's some cons though. Some cons for the week. Haaland blank despite an XG of 0.88. That's frustrating. Same as you. Semenyo on the bench, but when you look at it realistically, the only person I was going to drop was maybe Rodgers because he was away in Tottenham.
Yeah,
it's 1 point difference. So that's neither here nor there. The real frustration is Maddison, and he's become a concern for me. He was benched, came on in the 82nd minute. I got very lucky that he happened to score a free kick in those 8 minutes he was on the pitch. So I'm going to do that every week. But the reason I'm concerned is he also got dropped against City in the Cup when Tottenham played a very, very strong squad to try and beat them. And then tonight, when Tottenham have played, he started. People like Johnson and Son got taken off at half-time. Solanke came off the bench. He got rested, whereas Maddison seemed to play until he played until the 66th minute and got transferred off.
I wouldn't read too much into 45 minutes versus 65 minutes, right?
I think he's gone. I think he's out of the starting 11.
I mean, there's too much doubt in that, really. If he's just kind of coming in and out, you don't want. He's pretty expensive as well. I mean, you could always. Palmer's an injury doubt only for this. Palmer will probably be out this weekend, and Rodgers is playing Liverpool, so he does look like he's on the chopping block.
I think so, and I'll give you some ideas. Ideally, I'd roll. The only other move, which I'll show you later, is I could play Van der Berg if I really want to, but I have no faith in the Bournemouth defense.
I think there's enough. It's a shame because it's the Ipswich game, but if you think he's out, we'll have big doubts. I think probably got to move him. There's a few good options around his price points that I think you could move on. But yeah, I mean, like looking at, like you said, your concerns, mate, with like Maddison, Palmer being my concerns there. We'll talk about like transfers in a little bit later. But for me, Calvert-Lewin is just, I'm getting peeved off, like, because he's just not been doing nothing, and I think he's a risk to being dropped. Right, when he's had chances, he's been really poor with them. Last 2 games, he's not done anything. Right, Beto came on, was looking a lot better, so I think there's a real risk that. We got subbed after 60 minutes, didn't he, as well, this week? So his minutes have disappeared. So Calvert-Lewin's an issue for me. Lewis is an issue for me, of course. Like
that was
not a surprise.
Classic Pep, right?
No. But like, I mean, he's not. Obviously, he was saying he was like kind of like, oh, we can't rest him. But he's always been a rotation issue, and now the start of the tough run for City. And I also think Foden is an issue. I think. With injuries, it's not a minute's risk. It's just like him being a little bit lethargic. He's not really returning on his underlying stats, but also just like kind of City's fixture swing. So there's a few issues in my team as well.
Yeah, I think DCL is surely going to get dropped. Beto scored last week. This week, the weekend just gone, he then scored, but it was offside, and then he hit the bar. So he just seems to be doing more when he's on the pitch. So I've got to think he's going to start at some point.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. We'll move on to the league. Always have to update with the league. Hopefully, at some point, Matt, one of me and you will be in this top 10. I hope so. Otherwise,
it's looking tough now, isn't it? Actually,
it is looking very tough. What is it? Bottom 630? I'm only 40 off it, apparently. Is that right?
You're doing all right.
Only be 40 off. Not horrendous. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for the top 10. But Jacob's back on top. Had dropped off. I think the top 3 is unchanged, just in a different order. Jacobs took it. I went down to third and Ahmed in second. But 669 for the lead as Jacob. So fair play. Where I'm like 40th, you're like 60 something. So with that low down, I try not to look too much. But yeah, well done to Jacob.
That's all the non-Haaland teams, isn't it? No doubt.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm surprised Thomas Jones, you're not up there, mate.
Haaland didn't have Haaland, so I think a lot of these. That's a lot to catch up with. Wow.
Yeah, so we just need Haaland to bang at some point. My mate Gary's dropped out of the top 10 for the first time this season, so he'll be disappointed. But if you're not in the league and you want to join, the code is on the screen. But it is T27ZGC. That's T27ZGC. And as I say every week, we don't know what the prize will be, but we'll do something. We'll work something out. Going to move on to what's happening with City. So you've talked already about the fixtures changing, and as you can see at the bottom, their next 6 are Brighton away. That's a tough game. Brighton away. Then they've got Tottenham, Liverpool, Forest, who defensively are one of the best teams in the league, Palace away, and Man United. So they're not great fixtures.
I don't know if a single good game there, really. When you're looking at like a team level, obviously there's some games you'd look at from an attacking point of view. The next 2 aren't bad for attacking prospects. Less so for defensive, but like Liverpool, Forest, that's tough defensively. Crystal Palace aren't right there at the moment, but it's a way. Manchester United, they could turn a corner on the new manager. So yeah, that's almost as bad as you can get for a fixture run, right? But like, yeah, I mean, this is interesting what you put here. The last, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, last 5 game weeks. So mixed 3 wins, a loss, and a draw. I think that the attacking stats ain't bad. Like based on I'm kind of surprised at this, but like bear in mind that's an easy run from an attacking point of view, right? Southampton at home is the banker, which Southampton are incredibly lucky not to concede more than 1 goal, right? 3-0 would have been a fair result, but
you're right. The one tough game there is Newcastle away, and then expected goal date of a 1.04. It's coming up and more like that.
No, exactly. They're not bad stats, but they're not great considering the quality of the opposition. But I think probably what's more interesting is that the stats in the second table you've got there. So they expected both the expected goals, the second 5 game weeks versus the first 5, and especially the expected goals conceded, which is something you do see reflected in the results. are a lot worse, right? So expected goals conceded first 5 game weeks, it was 5. Expected goals conceded game week 6 to game week 10, over 8. It's kind of mad considering how tight their defence has been. So that's kind of been really bad. So I think like the time you've got to be considering selling City defenders for sure, looking at their upcoming fixture run. And like, yeah, the goal stats are okay, but they weren't as good as in the first 5 game weeks. And I think I'd probably say these last 5 game weeks have probably been stronger for City than the first 5. This has been easy. It's been an easy run, and like a lot of people went 3 City and whatnot. So yeah, what's happening? I guess it's fixture congestion, and then they have been poor, right? I think when everyone watches the match, they've been poor, and obviously when you lose your 2 best players and Rodri and De Bruyne at the same time, it does have a knock on effect.
Yeah, absolutely. You've obviously got 3 City players. I've got 2.
Yeah,
mine's much more difficult to move because one's Haaland, and we'll come on to Haaland in a second, and the other one is Edison.
Edison.
Yeah,
That's the problem. It's like always feels wasted when you're moving him, but he costs $1 million more than any other keeper. Yeah,
I do want rid.
You're going to regret that.
I do want rid. It's just I do want rid of him. But from your side, are you like you've got 3? You kind of hinted at it before. Is your key thing get rid of a City player?
Well, it's not like my driving factor. They're playing Brighton away, but like I think, given their price points, it'd be foolish not to start looking at a bit of an exit strategy. That's a terrible run, right? So, yeah, I'm considering exiting, like moving all of them on potentially. Like Rico Lewis is a bit, he's so cheap, and like I do have Van der Berg who can come in, and Greaves is injured, but he might be back after the international break. So, defenders, I can bear with it a little bit, but like Foden definitely I'm considering out. Like Haaland, seriously considering it as well.
Yeah. Well, on that point, and Thomas, I promise you it'll come. Is it time to sell Haaland? And I'll be honest, at the beginning of the season, he was the one and probably the only player I was sat thinking, this guy's never going to leave my squad. But I'm doing some comparisons, similar to what I did on the last screen, looking at the first 5 game week stats and then looking at the next 5 game weeks. And look at that drop off. First 5 game weeks, 63 points.
Yeah.
Recent 5, 14. That is insane. And it's not, it's not, he has been unlucky, don't get me wrong, because the expected points over the last 5 is 28 and he's only delivered half.
I think that's the key point. Yeah. That's the key point is he's been unlucky, right? So he hasn't been a bad player, and people without him have got he's underperforming by half, right? So like people who had him have been unlucky, people who've kind of gone without that kind of risk has paid off. However, that's a significant drop off, isn't it? That's a massive drop off. Like so it's not just the luck play, and then you can see a kind of goal involvement per 90 is still really great, but is it where you'd want it to be? And bear in mind, game 6 to 10 has been a really easy run from an attacking point of view. These have been poor teams, right? So he's got a significantly tougher fixture run for the next. We got the next next 6 outlined there. I think it goes up until about game week 18. Actually, I've looked at the kind of run. It is an extended tough run that they've got, and it coincides actually when I think a lot of FPL is making sure you've got the best captaincy option each week. I think that does make a big difference. There's always quite a good strategy to follow, especially when there's clear captaincies. I'm looking at the next 5, 6, 7. I don't think there's a week where Haaland is the standout by miles. There's some weeks, of course, every week you'll be there or thereabouts. But I think there's a lot of weeks where Salah, Son, Palmer are as good, if not better, options.
Yeah.
Saka sometimes as well. So I think, it could be the time to like diversify and spread out that money. So I think, is it time to sell Haaland? Well, absolutely, but I think now is as good a time as possible. I mean, the Brighton game is not necessarily like this week, but this week or next week. I think it's as good a time as ever. You're going to have to do that without him being injured. So I'm considering it. I'm considering it not for this game week. It doesn't really work for my team structure, but game week. What's the next game week? 11. 12. Game week 12.
Game week 12.
Yeah, game week 12. I'm considering it as part of a move.
Nicholas Jackson. Are you getting Strand Larsen in for him?
I mean, do you Haaland and can't even compare it. Like he's so much more expensive than anyone else. Is the problem there? But like Cunha and Palmer, or Cunha and Salah versus Haaland and insert you
Somebody, yeah,
like
yeah, absolutely. Now, do you worry, right? If you sell Haaland, so what is it, 15.3 million at the minute? Do you worry about being able to afford him back?
just plan for it accordingly. Roll these don't do stupid little transfers that are short term. Like, so make sure you can get back to him with 2 or 3 moves, and it's very easy to accrue enough transfers to do that. It's got to be patient and work towards it. Like, you'd be making a mistake if it's like, look at this run you've got here. You transfer out this game week, and then he scores against Brighton, he scores against Tottenham. You'd be stupid then to like break your team to force him back in Liverpool. Once you've gone for it, you just got to commit to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I wouldn't be worried if I got rid of him this week or next week. I wouldn't be worried about the struggle to bring him back in. You just got to, roll your transfers and plan for weeks you want to target him back and not be too reactive, because he's going to score eventually, right?
Yeah.
Over 1 goal involvement a game is still kind of incredible stats, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just is it without bonus? Like, is it 15 million? Great, no.
Yeah. So Thomas has made the point about that trade transfers. He had 4, saying it's a game changer because he bought in Salah and Bowen and a few other defensive changes at no cost to himself. So rolling those transfers to get him back makes a lot of sense.
Moving like Haaland compared to previous years is like the ability to have 3 transfers rather than have to do in a -4 and staggering it over 2 weeks. It does make a big difference.
Yeah. I'll see if I can't tell him this week. Maddison's my issue, but we're going to touch on talking about Maddison, and you mentioned Foden might be a potential issue, so we're just going to throw in some midfield options. But for those listening, I have purposely left out the big 4 midfielders, so the expensive ones: Palmer, Salah, and Saka, because I don't want to compare the obvious picks, and then Bumo has been left out purposely for that reason as well. So this is probably
Sonny, 6% owned Sonny.
8. Is which?
Well, that's Son. 6% owned Son, huh? He's not
so
in yet.
Son, I have put down anyone else you'd consider, and then in brackets, maybe Son. So we will.
Son is looking good. So I mean, you got a real range of players here. Look at the price point.
Yeah, now the stats.
2.5 million.
Just so you're aware, the stats of the last 6 game weeks.
Cool, got it. Season. So you got Semenyo, Bowen, Gordon, and Bruno Fernandes. So obviously, different ends of the spectrum. You got like a semi-premium person in Bruno, and then you got Semenyo as a super cheap one. So we'll ignore price points. Price points. So I like them all for sure. I'm just looking at the fixtures.
Yeah. So Newcastle are 3rd on the fixture ticket, which I quite like.
Newcastle, I think, are a team to watch now, both defensively and from an attacking point of view. So I was thinking, who would I go for if I was to remove Haaland? And probably it'd be Isak. It'd be Isak. I like their fixture run. From a defensive point of view, someone like Hall is really interesting, right? Who seems to have like secured that left back space. I like Gordon as well. Like, his expected points per 90 are really good, really good. Well, they're the best of the lot. I'm surprised. Yeah, they're the best of the lot there, really. So yeah, they're all looking good. They're all getting about. Bowen's slightly lagging. Semenyo's points have been for the last 5, especially because they've been the tougher games. It looks really good. Expected points per 90 of 6. That's really strong. So Semenyo, I think, feels like a no-brainer. I think he's the standout cheap option. I like Semenyo a lot. Bruno Fernandes, I want to talk about him. Just because the next 3, I mean, his fixtures could be split 3 versus 3, right? So he's not as long-term a hold versus the other players. But his next 3 are Leicester, Ipswich, and Everton, right? Then it's Arsenal, Forest, City, which is probably the hardest 3 games you can have. Well, add Liverpool there, but those are probably the kind of like Arsenal away, City away. So Bruno feels like a short-term pick, but like an interesting one. I think that those next 3 are really appealing, right? And like with Bruno, obviously I went there early, and like Bruno's stats have been good all season. Like, so it's like he's just been a bit unfortunate. It's not like he's been bad. Like, he's just been a little bit unlucky, and he's might have been hitting posts, sang with disallowed stuff. There were a couple of game weeks where he started playing deep, right, which is always the risk with him. Under Van Nistelrooy, the game he played again, games with him, he's been again attacking as an attacking 10 again, which is kind of like awesome. And like just looking at Sporting's kind of setup and whatnot, I think he's going to be pretty far forward. I think he'll be in the front three, right? So he'll be quite advanced. I'll be very surprised if he's in the midfield too. So I'm tempted to go there. So I Bruno like him the best over the next 3 game weeks if that fits in with your wider transfer plans. Semenyo, I feels like a glue player, like a real cheap no-brainer option given how he's been performing recently, and just like his fixture is really nice, long, even longer than these 6 game weeks. Like I think it's more like a 10-week span. He's really good. I would, I'd probably change towards Gordon over Bowen.
Yeah,
just like the stats say, and it's just that bout with where West Ham are as a team.
Yeah.
And are they just
I suppose
Liverpool?
Owen, it's been interesting, right? Because Bowen's played a little bit as the centre forward. He's also on pens, which obviously Gordon isn't.
No, sure.
But the fixtures probably the fixtures are nice for both. I don't like Newcastle away and Arsenal home for West Ham, so I'll probably prefer the the Newcastle fixtures, sorry. But they've got Forest in there away. They've also got Liverpool in there. So it's a tough one between the two for me.
No,
I'd go Bowen for pens.
It is close now. Like Gordon's obviously a bit cheaper. I mean, just make your choice then. Like stick with them, like medium long term with those guys.
Would you pick Son over all 4 if you can afford him?
What's Son's fixture? Well, I mean, like it's such a big difference in price point. So
yeah, he's 9 point. Is he 9.9 thereabouts?
Yeah, something like that.
And, are you getting the fixtures up?
Yeah.
So I don't think I put it in because apart from this Ipswich game, which looks great, and I'm not going to have a Tottenham player, so I'm panicking. I think the rest don't look that good, if I'm not mistaken.
They're mixed, to be honest. Like so, Ipswich home, City away. Yeah, I get it. But Son does seem to have a thing against.
Loves playing City.
So I'd be happy playing Fulham at home. Yeah. So Fulham defensively not so great. Bournemouth away. Chelsea home. Southampton away. It's not great, isn't it? It's mixed. It's mixed. Yeah. Based on the price, I wouldn't go there. I think he's probably a better option than all these, just because he's better player, right? But
yeah,
I think price point wise, I wouldn't go there. So yeah, I'd stack rank them. I'd go Bruno first, just like first next 3. Like I think that's kind of really interesting and pretty exciting. But then like longer term, a bit more mixed. But yeah, I'd go Bruno, Gordon, Semenyo, Bowen. But like obviously price point comes into the play. So when you talk about price point, I've probably put Semenyo as the peak one. But yeah, I think Newcastle could be on the cusp of like a really nice run.
Yeah, absolutely. Just beat Arsenal, and it wasn't. It was pretty convincing victory against Arsenal at that. It wasn't exactly unlucky.
It was a scrappy game.
Thomas is getting tempted.
It was a scrappy game. I think it was like Bruno was just like a foul every 2 minutes. But yeah, it was quite. They got the goal and then were just quite dominant. To be fair,
dark art as it's called, the dark art of Newcastle. Exactly. But it's about time somebody did it to Arsenal because Arsenal do it enough.
Yeah, true. But yeah, they got some really nice options. Like it's not the greatest run, but it's like it's good enough that hey, Isaac, Gordon, Hall, they're all on the menu, I think.
Yeah. Well, Thomas is tempted by Gordon, so when he starts bagging a load of points, Thomas, you know who to thank for it. We will move on to the cheap strikers. So yeah, I've obviously made the move already. You've already touched on the fact that you're pretty fed up of having Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and a lot of the cheap strikers seem to be producing the points. So we just thought it'd be worth bringing probably the main 4 together, just for some comparison options. But you texted me at the weekend about Chris Wood, and he just seems to be scoring every single game he plays.
No, for sure. So you got Wood, Cunha, Jimenez, and Vizor on the pitch. I'd add Welbeck and João Pedro from next week on. So João Pedro becomes very interesting if he's proper. I think he got a minute. Did he get minutes? No, he's back training.
Not yet.
But after the international break, and if he gets minutes, and Brighton's run starts really nicely, game week 12, and it's a nice run. And he's cheaper than all these players, right? I think he becomes really interesting. Strand Larsen is another one. I think he's not as good as Cunha, but he's like $1.5 million cheaper, right? So I'd add Strand Larsen and João Pedro, particularly João Pedro. I'd add them on this list in terms of like great cheap striker options.
Yeah.
You know what? Looking at these players, sounds a bit counterintuitive, but Forest run is shit. Look at it: Newcastle, Arsenal, Ipswich, Man City, Man United, Villa.
Yeah, it's not great.
Look at his underlying stats. He's been running hot. Like his numbers are good, but not great. So he's been running super, super hot. Like his expected goal expected points per 90. Yeah. It's the same as Semenyo. No one's like talking about Semenyo as the must-have player. Right? So, like, again, we talked about, he's been doing good, Chris Wood, but he's been so lucky recently. I'm sorry, he's been a good pick. And those numbers are really good, but he's been running so hot. Like, I don't get
10 points.
Don't get skewed by that.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd say if his run was nice now, it'd be like, he's still interested. But he's on Newcastle and Arsenal the next two. Right? Now's not the time. You missed the boat with him. Yeah, if you look at Cunha, like his stats are exactly the same as Chris Woods, who's getting in the same positions, taking a few shots, just being a little bit more unlucky and whatnot. Like his fixtures are beautiful. So that's the time of when you're going to jump on a player. Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Ipswich. That's like the worst. Fulham a good team, but not great defensively, right? That's as easy as you can get in terms of a run. So now is the time to jump.
It carries on.
Yeah, exactly.
Carries on after that.
So Cunha seems like an absolute no-brainer. Fulham's fixtures are a mixed bag, particularly like game week 13 onwards. So I wouldn't really go Jimenez. Like he's been doing best getting the positions right, but I wouldn't be going Jimenez just because of that fixture run. And then Vizor,
Vizor is off because he obviously was injured and he's only been back for 2.5 games. So it's the pen 90 that I thought was interesting.
No, this
I thought it was going to be.
No, he's been looking good. Like obviously when he was fit and like he's just come back. Brett, I don't want the game on Monday to skew things, but like Brentford were really bad.
Yeah.
I think it's just like sometimes you do want to diversify options, right? So a lot of people have Mbeumo, right? So I think Cunha is the standout here. I then consider Strand, Larsen, and João Pedro as like really valid options in this. So I think for Wood and Jimenez, I'm just thinking it's not the time to jump on them.
Yeah. Well,
it feels weird because Wood has just been doing so. He's been so dominant, and so good. But
you're right.
He has been running a little bit.
6 fixtures. We'll
keep that in mind. He's been doing very well, but been getting a little bit lucky, not too lucky, but a little bit. But now it's the fixtures.
Yeah.
And you've got Cunha's.
And Cunha's expected points more from the assists. You can see from the stats his assists more than his goals, but his expected points are higher. Cunha is actually over the last 3 game weeks. 6 game weeks, should I say, third among strikers for expected points. Raul Jimenez is number 1.
Yeah.
Haaland number 2. Just been very unlucky. But yeah, Cunha's third for expected points, and that fixture run is beautiful.
Yeah, he's dominant in terms of bonus points as well, right? So that does come into play just because how many chances he creates, and he is on penalties as well. So I mean that's not like a uncommon thing, but like Vizor, for example, is not on penalties, right? So I think Cunha's got to be the stand. He's more expensive, right? But he's got to be the standout. And I think with Wood, I just hope it's one of those things where people look at typical thing of, hey, he scored points, so I'm going to get him in.
Yeah.
So that fixture run screams blanks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We might be proved wrong again.
Apart from Ipswich, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But you're like, that's one game in 6.
6. Yeah. Well, it looks as though M. Brown's going for Cunha and Isaac. Moving out Watkins and Havertz. Might free up some money for you that as well, M. Brown, might you?
I
Uh,
quite like I quite like Havertz, like actually as a potential option this week, next week onwards. Really, I think with Arsenal's run, he's probably going to be one of the standout. Odegaard is back as well, right? So that creativity, he got 1 minute. Obviously, it'll be international break. He'll probably get minutes this weekend. Probably come on as a sub. International break. He'll start then game week 12, and then Arsenal do have a nice run. So I think it might not be the time to get rid of Havertz, but I think Cunha and Isak are like two standout strikers. I think actually when I was considering, if I'm considering like the likes of who am I going to get rid of, Haaland and Calvert-Lewin for, Cunha was the first person that came into mind. And that was Isak Havertz. Were like who I were thinking about for Haaland replacements. So I don't know how I'd be looking desperate to remove Havertz, but Cunha and Isak are up there in terms of best striker options next couple of weeks. I like them a lot.
Yeah, well, there you go, Brown. Maybe keep hold. But I was going to ask about anybody else. You mentioned Welbeck, which after the City game this weekend, becomes a very nice option. Pedro if he gets minutes. I've also put Solanke down. Solanke, on the other hand, though, he's a bit more expensive. Granted, he's what 7.6, 7.7 million. For expected points per 90, he's 12th, which was low for what I was thinking. But his expected goals is 2.68 over that time, which is the fourth highest.
Well, it's because there were like 3 games where he was playing like a midfielder, right? So Palace, West Ham, and Brighton, he just wasn't playing as a striker. But the games he's played as a striker, he's had more than expected goal involvement of 1.52 against Villa, 1.34 against United, 1.68 against Brentford. So he's got those big games under him. So I think, I don't know if it was just a game state or squad state, this sort of thing, but like, there was a couple of like just really bad performances. I mean, would I rather Solanke or Cunha? I'll probably go Cunha. Honestly, that run looks so good. That run looks so good.
Yeah, I'm happy to have him, but Solanke is obviously not a sell. You wouldn't sell Solanke for Cunha. I suppose the question.
I think Solanke is fine to hold, right? Obviously, it's like, of course, he's got Ipswich, but then it's like City, ignore that. But then it's a mixed runner, so I don't think he's a desperate sell. And you can't really, you're not really upgrading your team too much, right? If you get rid of him, so he's a fine hold. Do we have any fixtures ticker, mate, or is that one for another week?
Sorry, no, that was for next week when it swings. I thought.
But I think Dan Brown's point, he was just talking about Havertz, is that like Arsenal's fixtures are like mixed. Next 2 are obviously it's Chelsea away and then Forest at home. But then after that, game week 13 onwards, it's like a really nice run to pretty much game week 20.
Plans for Saka back?
Maybe. But Havertz could be an option, right? Yeah, honestly, I mean, considering him as a striker kind of option as well. Saka's obviously kind of always a great option. And they've been bad, but like recently, but like they have had quite easy fixtures. But maybe Odegaard coming back will make a difference. But yeah, they got a really nice run game week 13. Depends how good you think Forest are. Forest at home, I think could be okay for them, and then it's like a really nice run 13 onwards.
Having Forest away, came to Anfield, didn't concede. Went to Stamford Bridge, conceded 1. They're doing good things on the road. So I wouldn't be captaining an Arsenal player in that game. That's for sure. Talking about captain, it's like I meant it. It's like I work these transitions in very nicely. We're talking about captains. Let's look at the best captain option of game when the slide moves. There it is. The best captain options for game week 11. Let us know in the chat who you're looking to captain this game week. But for the first time in a long time, Haaland's not even in the top 2. So Salah was top last week, Haaland's second. Haaland's third this game week. So the top expected points is Son at 7.3, Salah's in second 6.9, and then Haaland in 6.1. And Son statistically is also playing the worst defense out of the 3 with his home game against Ipswich. Now you have Son. Is it a no-brainer for you? Son's getting the armband?
Yeah, I want to compliment you again on the graphics, mate. I didn't say it on the previous page, but yeah, cracking job there and great job here as well. Like,
Cheers. I love that. I had to get this one in, didn't I? I had to get him with doing the little photo.
did you do that during work hours, or was that was it
Who
extra
knows?
quick?
Who knows? We don't tell anyone.
Um, no, no, it's an interesting one, isn't it? So I mean, again, that's why I kind of agree with it actually. Like, yeah, Song based on what he does, and then just playing a far worse team at home. I think he's the best captaincy option this week. Yes, I'd probably actually, I'd probably put Bruno Fernandes the second best option.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, at home to Leicester, right?
I'm being honest. Yeah, it's like they're playing. I think they're home to Leicester, aren't they, as well?
Home to Leicester, and he did score twice against them in the cup last midweek when it was it, or the week before. He scored twice.
No, I mean he's put great numbers all year. He's playing a really weak defensively team. I bet what's expected goals conceded by Leicester per game? Well, it's got to be 2 or over, right?
You keep talking, and I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like targeting these promoted sides plus West Ham is always feels a bit like a banker, especially when like the team that you're backing your captain on is at home. So like, yeah, I'd probably put Bruno up there as the second best option. Maybe a case to say is he's the best option, really. So yeah,
There's expected points just for that. Where is he? Bruno Fernandes. He's not even on page 1. Do you think that they're looking at how United have been playing and just marked them right down? So they.
Well, you're looking at
this
fix.
is a fix, yeah. But they have them way down the list.
I'd bet heavily on a few other algorithms and predictors. He'd be in the top 3 for sure. Like he's
They have him expected this game week. Oh, gee, is he not even on page 1? Wow. Madison's ahead of him. Maybe I shouldn't sell Madison. Bruno Fernandes expected points 4.1.
Yeah, I mean, there's something I missed. Normally, it's a decent guide, right? But like, there's something I miss if he's like behind Madison.
Yeah, and behind your favorite player, Strand Larsen.
I
Yeah, he's got a nice game.
No, I mean, like, yeah. So I think going without Haaland is a really valid strategy. I think Son, Bruno, in my opinion, Salah, they're all good alternative options. Thomas in the chat saying Solanke, I think he's a good option as well. So, yeah, I think now's a week to. I'll be going without him. I think it's a very valid time to do it.
Then Brown's on Salah.
Shahid
Bruno is number 1 in Mikel Algo.
Yeah. So the transfer algorithm one. So like, I think loves the standard stuff, loves set pieces, loves 90-minute men, loves penalty takers. So yeah, I'm not surprised on that. Yeah, sometimes there's like the fixed one does love like Foden sometimes. he's always up there, probably a bit over egging it. But I think they're actually the players here are kind of good. But I think there's probably 5 or 6 players that are better than Haaland this week, right? Maybe this is the week he gets his hat trick, but like, yeah, Son, Solanke, Salah, Bruno Fernandes, maybe someone else as well, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Shahid, for that. Because if I bring Bruno in, I'm for you, Matt. I might give him the armband. Just to cover off Leicester's defense.
Honestly, with your team, I would. You don't have Salah, do you? You don't have Son. I
don't have Salah.
I would captain Bruno.
But Leicester's expected goals conceded is 2.21.
No, exactly. That's a gap, isn't it? That's big enough of a gap to, especially new manager bounce, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Interesting. I'll be in Turkey watching that game, not to show off, but I'll be watching. Rooting on a United player just feels wrong as a Liverpool fan, but fantasy football comes first. There you go, plenty of options now, Matt. We haven't caught up since this. It is now 4-4 because I I didn't have. I know I've got Wissa now, but I didn't have him at the time. So he got me 10 points. Kulusevski got me 1. It took me to 11. You got an assist from Rutter, took you to 6. But
Yeah.
was it 4-2 you? And I've just managed to claw it back. But we never, like, even all last season, mate, it was nobody was ever more than 2 in the lead.
Yeah.
It just was very close all the way through.
I don't know about that visit one where that has to be banned on technicalities. I swear, isn't that the game
I
week you
didn't have
brought
him when I
in?
picked him. Didn't have him when I picked him. Didn't. And you know what? I got screwed out of points because the goal was given to him in the end. That would have been 2 points. 1 point for the goal, and he'd have got an extra bonus. So I got screwed out of 2. Damn you, Premier League. But good news
Fair
for you
enough.
is you get to pick first.
I can't remember who has it. Oh, Strand Larsen. So I was looking. Someone was like 6%, which was crazy, and Bruno's like 7%. So like, I really think this week generally, like if a captaincy pick is nailed and you bring in these players, like it's going to be a chance to like jump up 500k, 750k, right? It just really points towards that. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, they didn't quite meet our 5% or less threshold. So I'm going Strand Larsen, so the second best Wolves attacker. But I think that Southampton game is ripe. He's been doing good, decent stats. He's been getting quite a fair and regular returns. So yeah, I'm backing him to get at least something. So Strand Larsen is my first pick.
I think it's a good pick. I'm just looking now. Embrahan's mentioned that Bruno's 5.7. Oh, in Hub, and then 6.1 in review. So yeah, Fix have him way down as expected points. There you go.
I think I'd put it around 6 or above, really. So like, I think I'd be swaying some of those.
Strand Larsen,
Yeah,
as always, would have been on my picks, but I can't have them now, so that's game over. Now I'm picking somebody that I never. I don't know why I picked them. It's like my Bernardo Silva of last season. This guy, he's on the screen already. I'm backing Tottenham to destroy Ipswich, 3-0, 4-0, and Kulusevski's got 3 and 5. He's the only one that'll start that's under 5% owned. So I'm going to back him again. I'm going to back him to get a goal.
Thanks for Madison.
I know that Madison will start, and I'll have sold Madison. But yeah, I'm gonna bring in. I'm gonna pick Kulusevski's 4% owned, and that home fixture against Ipswich just seems pretty right. Yeah, he's getting returns, so I'll go for him.
Fair enough, and I think common thread. Let's like pick an attacker against a promoted team whilst at home. So I guess I was thinking Rashford or a few other options, but I think I'll go Haaland. I think he'll start. Surely Xerxes is pretty garbage, isn't he?
Yeah,
he started like the last couple. I think again there'll be a return there, or you'll get loads of chances. You'll get loads of chances created by Bruno and miss them, but we'll see.
They're playing now, and I think Haaland's got the start, so it's 0-0 half time. Yeah, Haaland started. Rashford is benched. Interestingly,
I mean, I won't overthink that too much. Like you'll probably get. I'll probably
managing right as well. Okay, so Haaland,
he's not a bad player, right? So I think again, like talking about Fernandez, because we're both getting quite excited and pumped. Him having Xerxes and just like who else was playing, like Ahmad's like versus Haaland and maybe kind of Rashford. They are better players, aren't they? Like by quite a significant margin, right? So I think it does help when you're surrounded by better players. So I think, but when Bruno was getting all those numbers early in the season, it was like you putting like chances on plates for just really poor players. So I think Haaland being back, like a nice little run now and getting a few returns. Rashford or Garnacho, whoever plays, doesn't really matter. They're better players than Ahmad, right? I mean, that was just like the concern. I was looking at my team like when I had him earlier. It was like, wow, the players that surrounded him are really bad. So I'll go Haaland. I suspect you're going to go Rashford as your.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's the other one. But he's not playing tonight. But I still think he'll start. I think he'll start. It was him or like picking under 5% is tough. Because the only other people I've got the one I've got wrote down is Mateta, which doesn't thrill me in any way, shape, or form. He's a home to Fulham, but he's been a shadow of us as of what he was doing last season. So I think I've got to go Rashford, and yeah, just gamble that he's the one that gets the goals and not Højlund. So I'll be honest. I think you're going to win. Strand, Larsen, and Højlund versus Kulusevski and Rashford. I feel like you've got the better.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. But you did get to pick first. That's what I'll tell myself when it comes in 22 points to 3 next week to you when you take a 5-4 lead. But yeah, best of luck with it.
Still got a nice run where I think we're probably averaging more than one of the 4 players getting a return. It's not bad. These are cheap players.
Yeah. Well, two this. I've just noticed 2 returns last time we did this, and the 2 that didn't are the 2 I've just picked. So hopefully that was their only off week, and they'll be back. They'll be back at it.
Do a router if you want.
Yeah, we'll move on. Yeah, I'll stick. I don't. Although City's defense isn't filling me with any joy either. With as an Edison owner, I'll stick. But yeah, let's move on. So maybe on to your team, Matt. This is game week 11. You've hinted at it, but give us the breakdown. What is it you're looking to do?
Yeah, so going into the week with 3 free transfers, and I think why the strategic plan was like game week 12 to try and get as close to 5 free transfers as possible, just because of the heavy fixture swing. So I was thinking, looking at my team, it's okay, right? So I've got Flecken and goal at the moment, but I'd probably play Fabianski over him, actually, given he's starting for West Ham. I probably think Everton's attack is worse than Bournemouth, so I'll probably flip it around and start Fabianski. But yeah, Trent at Villa, Gabriel, Chelsea, Lewis, away to Bournemouth. I've got an option to start with Vandenberg. If I think he's a big rotation risk against Bournemouth, that's fine. Song captaincy, as we discussed earlier, and Mbeumo home to Bournemouth, Semenyo away for Brentford, Foden away for Brighton. I think he'll play, right? I don't think they have much options than to not play him. Solanke home to Ipswich, Haaland vice captain at Brighton, and Calvert-Lewin. That's okay, right? So there's no major issues there. So I was thinking, I could probably roll. And I was like looking at my team, what's my main issue? My main issue really this week is just like Calvert-Lewin. I just want to get rid of him. And then unfortunately, like doing one transfer, it's like, it feels a bit wasteful, and like there's no player I can really ideally get to. I could go Strand, Larsen, but he's definitely the second best Wolves option in attack. And then I could go João Pedro, but it's a week too early. Still injured, right? Or still hasn't like even returned to the bench, right? And Visa, I can't bring him in because I've got three Brentford players, right? So I can't really get rid of Calvert-Lewin over 2. So I could roll it, but I was like looking around, what other players would I be moving in the fixture swing? I would be moving Foden as part of that fixture swing for sure in game week 12 to probably a Saka or a Palmer. So I was like, why not do it 1 week early? So like, I think I'm going to move Calvert-Lewin to Cunha. We've spoken about why I want him so much. And then really, like the other options of where I can save some money and like jump on and off teams that I want. I could look at squeezing some money, downgrading Lewis to like a really cheap defender. Don't know if I can get to Hall. I think I can just get to Hall to kind of get enough money freed up. Or yeah, like an easier option. I might be priced out of that already because Cunha's gone up in price last night, I think, or the night before. So I might be outpriced by that. But an easier move is like Foden, which is a risk move in him. His numbers have been good. He's been playing 90. He'll probably play 90 against Brighton, right? Kind of Foden to Bruno, free up that money, bring in Cunha for Calvert-Lewin. So I can't really like that move because I was like considering like that was the dilemma. I couldn't really get to the player I wanted, Cunha, but yeah, moving Foden to Fernandes, which I'm convincing myself talking into it is a really good move for the next 3. And you can keep him long term, right? I know there's over the 6 week horizon, there's like some tough games, 14, 15, 16, but you can hold him long term, right? Because he's always going to play and always do pretty well. It just means I won't get Saka next game week, but I can live without him, right? I can live without him. So yeah, I think Fernandes and Cunha in is probably the option, and that means game week 12. The plan would probably be Haaland to Isak or Havertz, and then look to get in Palmer for someone. maybe for Son.
Yeah.
Palmer's injured, right? So I can defer that if he's not fit. But yeah, I think I see how much money I've got left by then. I mean, I could go wild and bring him Palmer for Rodgers if I had enough money. I don't think I'll be able to stretch that, but I'll revisit that. But yeah, it's probably then Isak for Haaland and Palmer for Son the following week.
I'm just looking at the Chelsea team now. Palmer is completely if he is fit, he might still be injured, obviously, but
he's not in the squad for the Europa
not in the
League.
squad.
No,
he's
not.
He's
He's
on
not
the
registered.
bench.
He's not registered.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go. That'd be the reason for that. There you go. Matt's a fan. Thomas is a fan of those strategy. Bruno and Cunha double up.
Yeah, that's a good and reassuring feedback, isn't it? Given
Thomas is way ahead of us both in the rankings, by the way. So way ahead. And Shahid's come in. See, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Matt, what are you planning to do? Not many attack and returns for his price.
Shahid swing. I think he's perfectly fine. Right. I'm gonna bring up his underlying stat. I mean, like, it's spot on there that he has got the attacking returns. What's he been getting in terms of expected goal involvement, like per 90? It's 0.35 per 90, right? So that's pretty good for a defender, right? So that's the same as what? Better than Calvert-Lewin. No doubt. It probably isn't very far off Rodgers, right? So 0.35 is not bad. So like an attacking return every 3 games is not bad. Like if you are confident they're going to get clean sheets, and I think kind of Liverpool's defense has been pretty solid. So I think he's a hold. I wouldn't necessarily be jumping to buy him, right? Just because you'd want those numbers to be a little bit better and Liverpool's fixtures to be a little bit nicer. But I don't think if you got him, he's a bit of a luxury sell, I think, at this moment when there's other fires to burn. But he wouldn't be a buy. So like, I'm kind of okay. I'm okay with him. I'm not delighted, but I'm okay. Those underlying stats are pretty solid. And you hope Liverpool get a few clean sheets in the next couple, and then it's happy days. So I wouldn't be buying him. I wouldn't be selling him. And then, a question about Raya versus Fabianski.
Yeah.
I'd be going Raya.
Yeah, easy. Straight up, even at the worst fixture.
Well, Palmer's out, right? So who's going to score?
Is he definitely out? If he's out, I am gutted. Is he definitely out?
I think he hasn't trained yet, but like let's see. But like I would go Raya. Yeah. I'd go Raya even if Palmer's playing over Fabianski. Like West Ham are dreadful, mate. Like the last 2 games he's played, I think is the expected goals conceded was over 2 in both of them, like for Fabianski. So like I'd be going for that Arsenal defense for sure.
Yeah, I think it looks like Brown agrees going for the Raya piece. On this point, answering questions, I'll go through my team.
He knows how to save as well. Fabianski doesn't know how to save. Like
that's true. So not even save points coming in.
Arsenal have
maybe Calvert-Lewin will score.
Yeah. He could do it. Like Flecken versus Fabianski and like Brentford versus West Ham, they're both bad defense. But Arsenal's an elite defense, right? And you think, given they've had a bad run, get back to basics and just like keep it super tight. And then if they do concede shots, Ray is good enough to make a lot of saves. So I'd be going Ray and no regrets over Fabianski.
Yeah. It looks as though Brown just wanted to use a 4 million keeper, which I like. But yeah, I think probably
I reckon in this situation, I think Bournemouth Flecken's better keeper than Fabianski. Bournemouth a better team than West Ham, but Bournemouth are far more likely to score than Everton, right? I would say. It's a marginal, but I reckon pretty expected points if you went into an algorithm would be 0.5, 1 point higher for Fabianski. So I'll probably go Fabianski.
Over the 2. It looks like Thomas has Raya and Fabianski as well. So same as you and Brown, but going down the Raya route. But do get your questions in. I'll go through my team, and then following my review, any questions you throw in, we'll make sure Matt answers before we leave you. So last chance.
You feel free to ask as well.
I'll do my best. To answer some. But you're former world number 1. I am not. So going on to my game week 11, 1 free transfer for me, but I do have a little bit of money in the bank, which is quite nice that I can look to play with, and gives me some interesting options. I don't like having 1 free transfer. I'd like to ideally come out of the international break with 2. But Maddison, I've spoke about already, is a problem. The rest of the team seems okay. So Edison in goal, again, I'm expecting him to concede if I'm honest, but I'm not going to make a move on a keeper. I'm in a similar position to M. Brown. Edison versus Fabianski. I can't not play Edison. I can't not. You'd like to think City are going to be in that.
Why are you debating that? Come on, you started Edison.
I'm playing Edison. Yeah. I'm playing Edison. I've then got Aina. I've waxed lyrical about the Forest defence all season, so he's definitely going to start for me ahead of Van der Berg at home to Bournemouth. And I just trust the Forest team a lot more. Trent and Gabriel across the midfield, Palmer, Semenyo, and then Bumo pick themselves. I've benched Rodgers because he's away at Liverpool, who are obviously top of the league, so I expect them to do something. And I'd love to be assured that Maddison's going to start, but I really don't think he's going to. And as a result, I will probably move him on because I don't want Rodgers coming off the bench, nor do I want Van der Berg or Mikalenko coming off the bench. So it just gives me some interesting moves which I'll touch on.
Your team's looking quite tough, actually. If Palmer's out, it's not looking great.
Yeah. If he won't be out, Palmer will be fine. Palmer's going to be okay. I trust Palmer to be okay.
An issue that you've got, but it's not really an issue. Well, you've already got Palmer, which I think a lot of people who haven't got him would be going there. So it's probably not a big issue at all. But like, obviously, you're one free transfer now. If you decide to get Maddison out for someone like Bruno, I think that's a good move. If you do choose, it kind of forces you to keep Haaland, right? So you don't get to reinvest those funds, which could work out in your favour quite nicely. And like, to be honest, most people would be moving Haaland out to then afford Palmer or Salah, or both, right? So you wouldn't be able to do that without a hit, or you have to like spread out over 2 game weeks. But that's the only downside with your structure at the moment. But I think he's not a must sell.
No, and I'm quite happy. Brighton is conceding. Tottenham next week that he's got a conceding, so I don't hate holding him. Quite happy with the strikers, to be honest. Cunha, Wissa for this game week. Bournemouth at home. Haaland's got the armband at the minute, but yeah, if I bring in, you have convinced me, captain wise. If I end up bringing in Bruno for Maddison, which I can afford because I've got the money in the bank, I'll captain Bruno. If I do the transfer, if I don't do the transfer, I'm half tempted to buy in Bumo.
What about Salah?
Over Haaland?
Can you afford Salah?
Who, sorry?
Palmer to Salah?
No, I haven't got enough money.
Yeah, I think
unfortunately
that would probably be a shout. I think he'd probably be I'd trust him more than Fernandez as the captaincy option. Go back on my team for a second, because I think we haven't spoken about Salah. So I think there's almost going to be a massive amount of great midfielders that's going to be hard to fit in without unlimited transfers, right? So I was thinking Bruno is that short 3-week turnaround. Then next week, get rid of Haaland for someone like an Isak or Havertz, then change in someone. Could be Son to a Palmer. But then I'm missing Salah, then just if there's enough money then to get Salah for someone. But team structure is going to be mixed up a little bit, isn't they?
Yeah,
I think definitely the 5 midfielders is the way forward versus 3 attackers. I think, despite the great cheap attackers, I think it's tough to think of how you're going to fit all those great players in, really, because you don't want to be dropping them. Semenyo we spoke about. It's like, would you get rid of Rodgers and then have that benching dilemma every single thing? You don't want to bench Cunha because he's got great fixtures. Slanky's up and down. So I think it's going to be some interesting kind of squad decisions because, I mean, if Palmer's out, it makes the choice easier because then you just go Salah, of course.
I thought I read somewhere that he's okay, but I might be wrong.
Yeah,
I'll wait until the presses.
Anyway, but I think
you're right.
Might be wild card in game week 12. I think if I was doing that, I'd be going for a structure where it's more leaning towards 2 strikers. 5 in the midfield. Semenyo and Larsen as your rotating last attacker, leaning towards Semenyo most weeks, and then a stacked midfield of Salah, Palmer, and others, yeah, and friends.
Yeah, maybe Saka, if you could get there as well.
No, I
The
think
Arsenal pictures.
he could be the one to go. Like, could have it cover him. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, mate. I was just like,
Yeah,
as you
maybe.
talk through those moves, I was thinking both our midfielders going to have some like glaring gaps.
There are gaps. Yeah, and you're right. It's the money you get for it is Haaland, right? Haaland out, and I'll just Thomas, tell me what plays you've got, and I'll just pick them because you've been flying, mate.
Haaland
So
in.
I'll just whatever you're doing, I'll just do the same. But yeah, I'd have to sell Haaland to get the money, which he's not a problem for me per se because you know he's going to play. He's probably going to play 90 minutes. He's on penalties, although he did just miss one in the Champions League. But I'm assuming he'll still take them, and Pep isn't going to kick him off the pens. But yeah, my only headache in that start, I'm sure I read somewhere Palmer's going to be okay, but I'll have to double check that. But if he is okay, the only headache I've got, despite his amazing fixtures, Maddison, and I really don't want to play any of the bench people. So as much as I want two transfers out of the international break, I'll probably make a move, and it'll be Maddison to Bruno. Although we did touch on Gordon again, that'll save me a little bit more money, but I'll probably do Bruno. I
Yeah,
think
and
those
Captain
three.
Bruno, yeah.
And Captain Bruno, he's only 6%, 7% owned. He's
7%,
also
yeah.
he's low for Bruno, very low for Bruno. So it's a nice differential.
I'm looking forward to this game week. I mean, Cunha is relatively low owned. I'll have Son captain low owned, Bruno low ownership, Semenyo is quite low ownership. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Who are you captaining, Thomas? He's put his team in just for everybody else so you can see it. Did you say you mentioned Salah? Sorry, you're captaining Salah, aren't you? But there you go. Cunha up top, Johnson as well, Palmer and Salah. Look what no Haaland gets you. Trent, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Solanke, and Bumo, Cunha. So Reyes in net. That's a hell of a team with the money in Haaland.
Yeah, I'd captain Salah, no hesitation in that team.
Solanke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Salah. It's Salah for you. There you go. There you go. Thanks for sharing that, Thomas. Put you on the spot. But yeah, there you go. That'd be my move. It'd be either roll or Maddison to Bruno, and it's more likely to be the latter because yeah, that bench is stinking for this game week.
You would captain him, yeah, Bruno, if you brought him in.
I'm captain him if I get him.
Nice, like it.
Captain him if I get him. I'm struggling with any captain in that squad. You know, Cunha maybe, but again, or Mbumo maybe, but
okay.
They don't. Again, realistically, I'd just captain Haaland.
Haaland, even with that fixture, is better than both of those guys.
Yeah. So that's why it's on him at the minute. But yeah, if I get Bruno, I'll home to Leicester. Just scored 2 against them, as I say in the cup.
Yeah.
A new manager bounce. First home game for the new manager. You'd like to probably you could easily see. United putting 4 or 5 past Leicester.
It's just if he's playing in a 10 or in the front 3. If he's playing in the midfield, then it's like a massive disappointment, and you're waiting on penalties and set pieces. But I think I'd imagine he'll play, but imagine he's playing in the front 3 or a new formation where he'll be in the 10. Set pieces. Eriksen, I don't think will play, which helps because he'll be on every single set piece. And
yeah.
He plays better when Højlund is around. Like he's a better player than Xerxes and Ahmad and Diallo and players like that. There's some better players around him now, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm feeling quite.
Yeah. I'm not purely because I want to have a Tottenham player against Ipswich.
Oh, I'll let you know.
One in.
I'll have Son captain and Solanke. I'll let you know how it feels.
Yeah. So when Tottenham put 4 or 5 past Ipswich, I'll be hiding behind my couch. Or my sunbed in Turkey. If I didn't mention I was going to Turkey this weekend, showing off. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to it for that game. Otherwise, yeah, not too worried about it. But yeah,
no pod then next week.
Is it sorry?
Won't be doing anything next week, but nicely timed international break, isn't it? That's dedication.
Exactly that. And then you're away for some of the week after, but we might be able to squeeze one in. We think on the Thursday before the game week 12
Yeah,
will it be
I'll
for
be
the
back like
international break?
Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So we'll do something on the Thursday before.
We'll try and get
We,
something together for the Thursday.
cool. Unless there's
Well,
like some
enjoy.
random work stuff to come back to in it, or like,
Yes.
we do some stuff.
Yeah.
We're aiming for that
I think
Thursday.
if that's the case, I'll just put something up. So we'll definitely have something out before the next one. But yeah, we'll have a week off. Enjoy your week off, Matt. I'm sure you will. Thank you everybody for joining us, by the way, and thank you for the holiday wishes. Where are you off to? If I'm off to Turkey, where are you going, Matt?
Dubai.
Oh, Dubai. Yeah, that sounds a little bit more exotic. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So, of course, it's gone below 30 degrees there now. So it's only high 20s. What a shame.
Well, it's horrific for November. 30 degrees. Jeez. I think I've got 20, 25, 26, which will do. That'll do me. That'll do it. It's my wife.
Have to wear 3/4 rather than shorts. What a shame.
No.
No,
in an all-inclusive resort. Anyway, I'm just showing off now. Sorry, Thomas and M. Brown, for just hopefully you're going away as well soon, and you can just show off back to us when you get the chance. But thank you for joining us both. Matt, thank you for joining us. Enjoy your holiday. But I'm sure I'll speak to you before whilst I'm away. But enjoy your holiday, and I'll catch up with you in about
pleasure,
2
mate.
weeks' time.
Best of luck on the weekend, and
thank you very much.
catch you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, will do. And thanks always for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and get ready for the new theme again that is going to slap. May all your arrows be green, and we'll catch you in a few weeks. All the